Good to see you guys. Welcome in. Let me know if I cut out
Hey,
or if I seem slow at any point. I'm in a hotel right now. I switched over to my phone's hotspot just because I was not sure because Wi-Fi has been kind of hit or miss lately. So just unmute yourself and let me know at any point. All right, good to see you guys. Looks like I got a good group today. So I'm always going to try to put together at least a few things to share in these groups. So today, if you guys are interested, I had a few things I put together as far as YouTube Shorts go and thumbnails go. Wasn't sure how the interest was going to be in that and who was going to show up to this. But wanted to start off just accountability wise, since we're trying to keep this as an accountability group. So it's been 2 weeks since last meeting. Kind of want to go around and just kind of share progress updates. What have you guys been working on? Challenges, accomplishments as far as that goes with YouTube. I can start and then we can kind of go around. I did two videos in the last 2 weeks, so since our last meeting, two longs, and then I filmed four like independent shorts, which is kind of a new thing for me. I haven't dabbled much with shorts, but since I have a newer like SEO channel, I've been trying that. Um, Welcome to everyone who just joined. I was just saying, for accountability purposes, I think it'd be great to go around and kind of just share updates as far as what we've been working on the last 2 weeks with YouTube. I got two videos done, one of which for my YouTube real estate channel, one for my SEO channel. SEO channel has been kind of slow to grow. So I tried four new shorts for that, and they're getting like maybe a couple dozen views. I think the biggest one got like 115 views or so. I hit 10 subscribers on the SEO channel, which feels like a solid accomplishment because it's been slow to grow. So I think I'm at like 20-ish videos now. So that's me. And for anyone that just joined, I'm kind of just going around. I have a few things to share if you guys want, but just kind of wanted to start off with accountability, sharing what we're working on or anything that we're struggling with. Um, and then I'm just going to start. We're just going to go around. I'm going to call on someone. Graham, do you want to go next? You're just next up on my list of participants over here.
Oh, absolutely. I've just finished my lunch, so can switch my
Perfect.
camera back on now. So actually, just to give you an update, I promised Jacob I would have a video ready by today. This was last week and I failed. So hopefully he's going to keep me accountable.
It's
But
all
I,
good.
I did actually launch a podcast. So I recorded
Yeah.
a fifth episode yesterday, I think it was. And I also recorded a podcast interview with myself with my niche with quite a big successful podcast this week as well. So for me, that's coming out in October. It's going to be huge for my little SEO company here. Gets
Nice.
about 1,500 downloads a month. Not too many, but it's a very niche podcast. So those are kind of my wins. I'm going to see what I can do with videos for next time.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, honestly, I know you have the podcast in addition to YouTube, so I feel like you're still doing great. And I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot with this kind of stuff, but for accountability purposes, I wanted to start, getting into what we've been working on because it seemed like based on the survey results, getting started seemed to be the biggest roadblock for a lot of you guys. So if you feel comfortable, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but whether it's working on shorts or a podcast or videos, I would love to have you guys share that. Bryan, you're next up. You want to give any updates if you feel like it?
heck yeah. Can you guys hear
Awesome.
me?
Yes.
Everybody can hear me. So I like to do everything ass backwards just because I make everything more difficult. So I spent a lot of time this week enabling workflows to make it a repeatable task for myself and for my team that's editing it.
Nice.
And I don't know how many people know this, but I do have video production companies. And most of the time we're doing video for our customers, not for ourselves, right? It's like it's always that rule of thumb. But I'm built now. I finally put together a database where customers and my team and myself can easily add assets. with namings, and then all the assets in those folders get uploaded to our process, assigns it to my editor, and then goes through and selects a thumbnail, and then it still goes with my editing process. So, because that was the big thing was, it's nice to do all these things, but it's better if I can turn it into a process that down the road I can keep doing it and doing it more efficiently with the team I already have. So to answer the question is, I have not recorded a video. I've been recording tasks, videos for my team of like what I'm expecting from them based off of these guides, or kind of like the lesson plan. And this was the first call that I've attended. So I've just kind of been rewatching the videos because I had a wedding and then I was really sick last week. And so just trying to get into the mood of it. But as far as recording videos, I think my format is going to be something similar to what you're doing with your channel, me on camera, just to the side, talking to them, and then cuts to, in my case, cuts to my tools and services that I provide that are like custom, that I can explain, during a marketing call. So, and then really that prompts them to get in with me. And I'll also have a series of training videos of what I expect when they join. And that's where I want to kind of build that funnel from initial contact to lead magnet to that sales funnel. Delicious. And since I have 30 brands, I just need to make it one good one and then duplicate it. So that might have been too much. Sorry.
No, that's really good stuff. No, that's really awesome, Bryan. And it sounds like you're at a position and scale with everything else in your business where it sounds like that might be a good idea to like start off with the systems of everything. Just have a follow-up question on that. So one, are you like including in that system, like planning out, like, are you just going to like pick like one day a week or one day a month where you're just going to hammer out all your videos on the agenda? And is it going to be just you for your channel, or do you have like your teammates or people within your businesses who are like going to take turns being on camera?
I have it built out where we're going to have ideas. There's two ways that we're going to deliver content. Either an idea like we planned it out as a piece of content, or I'm going to have where sometimes I'll just talk to the camera of an idea that comes up to my brain, and then I'll put that into a process, and that'll automatically make a video content from my madness, to make it kind of just, I don't want to have to set up a project every time without, having a planned project every time. It's just not reasonable. I think it's more along lines of we can have some planned, but there's going to be some that are just like off the cuff. And
Yep.
to answer your other question is multiple people, the system is built so multiple people will have their own box that they can add their own ideas and their own kind of content on my team with
Gotcha.
that intent, right? Because I can't do it all myself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. That makes sense. And yeah, that's kind of reminds me of a point we've talked about before as like, do you script, do you not script? And kind of what I've said, like, at least for me is I feel like sometimes it really depends on the actual video. Cause I feel like sometimes like there's stuff where you want to have it like very scripted, research planned out. And then sometimes just kind of like off the dome. If it's something like experience based or like, you know what you're talking about, like just press record and just roll with it. I feel like both of those methods work really well.
A lot of it is going to
Nice.
be like when a customer calls and then I reflect upon it. And I think I want to make those as my like shorts of like, hey,
Okay.
customer called me about X, Y, and Z use case. And, X, Y, and Z use case, I would go with this, and this for video. And then I'd add on SEO here and this and that. So that's
Yeah.
almost like relevant to kind of that sales process, but also without disclosing too much.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. All right. Awesome. Good stuff. Next up, Dale, do you have anything you want to share? Dale, can you hear me? Do you want to share any updates or
Oh
anything?
no, yeah, you kind of froze up.
Sorry, my bad.
So I'm still Yeah, I'm still at the very beginning. One is I've narrowed down on a niche, and so I'm in the process of building a microsite for that, for the niche SEO site, and but at the same time, I bought a light, I bought a stand for my phone, minimal budget kind of thing, and then I'm building out a lead magnet. So I'm kind of doing all these things in parallel for the niche SEO site that I'm building. Um, and then the plan will be quickly get that up and running, and then start to put content on the YouTube channel that I'll create for that niche. So I'm still at the early stages. The other thing I'm interested in learning more here, right, was also to be able to sell services as part of my SEO package to
Yep.
put my clients on YouTube. So that's the other part. I'm here to try to learn how to do that. I have clients that do a lot on Instagram on their own, and so trying to figure out how do we start to leverage some of that content to push it on the YouTube as well. So basically in a learning process right now.
Perfect. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Honestly, guys, like whatever progresses you have to share, I feel like getting that going every week or however, whatever frequency we're on these calls, it was good to have, whether it's, you bought equipment, whether it's, you did a test video. I love getting it out there and hearing where you guys are at. Next up, Ray, welcome to the call. I know this is your first time. Anything you want to share as far as, what you work on, what you've accomplished, maybe learnings along the way with, as far as anything YouTube and video content goes?
Here for 3 weeks.
Sorry, didn't mean to catch you off guard.
I need to, so I want to get started. I literally have a setup. I mean, I have a good camera. I have a podcast mic. I mean, I have the light set up. Like, I have no idea what to record. And every time I try to think about it, I just stump. Like I went to your channel and I'm like, man, that's a genius idea how you integrated like, kind of like the real estate with St. Louis. And like, I was like, well, that's great. But I'm like, so I haven't really picked a niche yet for my SEO agency. I was going to do accountants and then I kind of pulled back and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do local. And so I'm kind of stuck there. But I guess for me, I'm just trying to learn like how to find what to record, right? Like, you know, like I feel like your channel is like the example, like it's not really SEO, but it's like lead generation, but it's like you're in the niche. I was like, that's so I don't know. I'm just curious.
That's a good point. So just so I understand, is you're really trying to, hone in on filming, like figuring out the actual ideas you wanna talk about with, like, regardless of the niche? Like, are you trying to stay more general so that you're not tied down to a niche with the content you make?
Well, like right now, I literally just work with service-based businesses.
Okay.
And I mean, I had talked to Nathan, and he's like, "That's pretty broad." That's every service in the book, right? But like right now, my clientele is just like everywhere. Like I have a firearms guy, I have an accountant, I have, video editors. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand where you're coming from. I know on the last call that we were on, we were talking with Ben, and he kind of had some similar like things he was saying about, wanting to start on YouTube without having a niche for now. And I'm not the YouTube expert by any means. I feel like it's always a good time to start with YouTube. But kind of some ideas we were throwing around with that is like, on one hand, you could maybe try to just like go kind of more broad SEO or like lead gen, focused content that's not tied to a niche. I feel like that might definitely be harder to start gaining traction if you're doing kind of that Nathan style content where it kind of applies to everyone. Another idea we were kind of throwing around is like, just kind of pick a couple of your niches and like use them as an example. So like if you had a win with like an accountant website, or if you had like something you learned, as a tip or a trick or strategy with, the firearms dealer or whatever, other service you have, where like you have some results you can show, or just like little tidbits. I feel like it might be worth it to just kind of try to get those together. And then like once you're later down the funnel, like if you find a niche later on, maybe you just want to like dial in completely on accountants or, contractors or painters, whatever it is. I definitely don't think there's like one right way to do it. If you want to hold off until you find a niche, like great. If you want to just get started now, I feel like there's definitely ways you can get creative without having a niche. What I'm doing, and I know it might be different because I'm just focused on real estate. Is I kind of try to look at it as just kind of sharing little things that I've learned. So like one thing that like my last video I did was on, how to get a lot of new construction leads for realtors, because that was never a thing I tried to do intentionally. It just kind of happened. Like we're noticing, okay, we're getting a lot of new build leads. The agents like them. They're like, keep it up. And I'm like, okay, they like them. What if other agents like this? And I'm just kind of like taking my ideas, like, how am I doing this? How does this work? And like, what am I thinking through to kind of get that website ranking or get those leads coming in, and just kind of like sharing what I'm working on, if that makes sense. That's kind of my approach right now. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it. But that's just kind of what comes to mind as like a way you could potentially start, with coming up with ideas. Cause I know that's definitely a big challenge, especially because not everything on YouTube's always like driven by a primary keyword or whatever. I feel like sometimes it can just be more like experience based, or almost like thought leadership, like sharing your lessons and takeaways. Um, does that help at all? Because I know like getting started with the ideas is definitely a big challenge.
Yeah, it definitely does. I definitely think that niche is definitely the way to go. Because
Yeah.
I think for me, what I'm gonna do is like I was building my agency and just leaving it there, and then I'm gonna go the niche route,
Yeah.
kind of like separately as a subsidiary, right? So like for
Yeah,
me,
that makes sense.
like I'm probably gonna be pushing like SEO for accountants or something,
Yeah.
and having a YouTube that's just SEO for accountants, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like you can always change your strategy too. Like if you started out now with like a broader SEO channel, and then later down the line, like a year or two from now, and you realize you really want to do accountants, like, I mean, at least in my opinion, you can always just change the name of your channel and just start doing content fully towards accountants, a year or two from now. Like what you start out with doesn't have to be what you stick with. Um, Again, that's just my opinion, but yeah, I feel like there's a couple ways you can go with that.
Would you say? So would you say it's better to just build a personal brand versus build? Because if I did something like, let's say SEO for accountants, we'll stay in that, and then later on down the road, I pivot to plumbers. Like, do you just change that YouTube channel, or do you just start a new one with what you learned?
Honestly, I don't know if there's a right way to go about
Start a
doing
new one.
that. Yeah, like that, because if you already built up like a brand that's just for accountants, like that might be difficult to switch later on. Um, Also keep in mind, like it is definitely tough to like build up a channel. Like it's gonna take time. So if you go down the niche right now and then you want to change it later on, like you might have sunk 6 to 12 months into a channel that is not going to be relevant anymore if you switch niches. So like maybe keep that in mind. Like I don't know if it might be better to like start off broad and then get more narrowed down the line. Because I feel like you might be able to do that, but if you start out like with a niche and then go to like a completely different niche, that might not translate super well. So if you want to do like just personal branding, like that might be a good way to start. Um, but there's probably different ways you could go about that. Um, I know Bryan, you had your hand up. Graeme, you did too. And then if we want to finish up with Thomas after that, as far as updates go. Bryan, did you have something? I saw your hand up for a minute.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I was gonna be to, along with what Ray was talking about, since I have these multiple video brands across the country. Would you recommend? I want to make a channel for each, right? And I wanted to populate that channel based on localized content. Do you think that's reasonable? as an expectation?
I feel like that could definitely work. Like if, I mean, as long as you're okay with like that workload of having to build up, you know, however many channels that's going to be. Like my real estate channel, not that the SEO one, but the real estate one is very localized to just St. Louis. So like if I wanted to go into a different market, I would not do that on the St. Louis channel. I would have to start a new channel.
Right.
Yeah, and like I feel like for me personally, like because I only have I think like 3 active channels right now. I think 5 in total. 2 of them are kind of dead. They're definitely, at least for me, like there's always growing pains with starting a new channel. Like it is going to take a couple months to get traction. Like you can start to see traction within the first like 5 videos sometimes, but like for my SEO one, like man, it's like 20 plus videos now, and like we're just hitting, you know, I think I got like 100 views within a month, and it's just like super slow. So that's like one thing I will say, like keep in mind, like it definitely can take time to grow them. But I feel like trying to go the localized route absolutely works. At least for me in real estate, I can't speak to the, you know, the video production market.
Yeah.
But I feel like localized content, especially if you're using the keywords like for the towns and the neighborhoods and whatever, like that's how I do it for real estate. Like the name of either the metro area or the more specific suburb, town, neighborhood is oftentimes in the video, and it works well. Like we get views and comments and subscribers from people who are like in those areas. So definitely I feel like the local route could work for any niche. I use that for real estate, but yeah, I in my opinion it works really well. Yeah, Graeme, did you have something you wanted to add?
Let me just add
sorry.
one more question. I just want to do a follow-up question to what you just described. Because I'm going after like I'm not going after the residents. I'm going after businesses in those areas. So,
Okay.
and the way that I was positioning this was, hey, medical, doctor type video production ideas, and then giving them a whole format of what to do.
Yeah.
In that city.
I think that could be really cool. Yeah,
With a price.
I'm very intrigued by like kind of the like local B2B route it sounds like you've been taking with that. So definitely, you know, if you start to do that and if it starts working, definitely like share that progress in the group, because I feel like I would personally be very interested in hearing that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, okay. Graeme, did you have something?
I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
That's really interesting, Bryan. I love your dog as well.
Mr. Spock.
Even better. I just wanted to share a little experience really with Ray, if that's okay. It's a little bit off tangent, I guess, but I had a podcast. I gave myself a year to record a podcast, which was very generic to a lot of businesses and SEO specific. And right in the middle of that, I decided to pivot the podcast to a different industry, and I lost all of my downloads. So that's something to be conscious of. And then I reverted back and built the downloads back up again. So now, I have a niche. My natural inclination was to talk about how that niche can do SEO for themselves and teach them in a similar way to how really, the videos that I watch, Nathan and Bryan Dean and other people teach their audience. And I realized that was a mistake, because my audience, my niche actually has a lot of other needs. They don't know anything about SEO. They're not going to implement their SEO. They don't know what a computer is, even, right? They don't know how to use anything other than a flip phone. So the questions that they have are actually, or will have, are actually very, very different. So there are things about, what is a good website structure? Why are you losing leads because you have a lot of fields on a form and things like that? Yeah, SEO is still very relevant. So I want to talk about, the importance of SEO and how to acquire traffic, but on a very high level, they're not going to do it. And I think if I was doing the SEO thing on a low level, I wouldn't have any audience at all. So I think it's important to, we want to do YouTube videos, but it's important to realize what your niche customers' needs really are and what questions they need answering. That was it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I know, because I know Nathan's also really been honing in on the niche selection with the Tuesday and Thursday calls lately. And it sounds like, based on a few things he said, like he kind of recommends YouTube as like almost one of the last steps after you've like experimented with niches, you've, worked with some of them, and then like you've committed to one, you're going to stick with that, and then you start doing YouTube, because it is going to be like a year or two easily before you start to like really see the results. I mean, you can start seeing leads within 6 months and whatnot, but like the thing is that like it compounds every year. And so I know it, and not to put words in his mouth, but it sounds like, he recommends kind of coming in with the content at the end when you're like sure of your niche, just because it definitely can be painful to like start over from scratch, because it does take time. That being said, like I'm not saying, not to do YouTube. I'm just saying, I feel like there's a couple ways you could go about it if you don't have your niche. Whether you want to just start more broad, or yeah, it could definitely be difficult to switch if you go down one niche right now and then you want to switch later. Or if you wanted to kind of use some examples of your existing niches right now, if you think that one of them might be the one you want to stick with, knowing that your content might be a little scattered right now. But yeah,
the other
I
thing
know.
I'd say is, sorry to interrupt, Jacob.
No, go
I
for
have
it.
another
Yeah.
I have another YouTube channel. It's very niche. It has 1,000 subscribers and it only has 40 or so videos. But I think you got to get started with something now, because you are going to be awful for at least 40 videos. And then once you find your niche, you are going to hit it so well when you start that new YouTube channel or whatever you do.
Yeah,
You're gonna have it
I'm a
die.
big fan of I'm a very big fan of like just start now and start working towards finding what works. And just know, like, if you do make that stuff very niche targeted now and you decide to switch later on, like that could be a challenge to have to start over. But I think that, worst case, Ray, like if you did have to start over, at least a year or two from now, if it's a different niche, like you will already have some kind of foundation from starting now, where you have an idea of like what works. You're better on camera, you're better at editing, you're better at, growing on YouTube a year or two from now. I definitely feel like, having that conversation within this group about like, for those that maybe don't have a niche yet, or they don't know what niche to pick, could definitely be a good conversation to keep going, because I know there's a few people that have brought that up before in this group. So we can definitely keep hitting on that. And then Thomas, sorry for the wait. Do you have anything you want to share as far as any progress, any learnings, accomplishments you want to share?
All good, all good. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, this week I was able to create the full script for my.
Awesome.
Yeah, just keep trying, and after a while you're gonna feel more comfortable with practice. I have a lot of videos I've made, right, where I'm on camera, where, me being on camera is like kind of weird and not fun, but that's why I like to keep it kind of free flow. But you have to figure out what kind of style that you like, whether it's just an outline or you have to read off of a script, or sometimes you have to do a little bit of both and then cut it together. So
the way I deal with it is the way I dealt with it. I recorded videos for a year and deleted them all and didn't publish them. And then eventually I published my first video and it was awful. So was my second. So was my third. Confidence was rock bottom. I did not want to put it live. First thing to realize is you're probably not going to get many views, so it doesn't matter. And the people that are going to watch the videos, you don't know them anyway, right? And then the way I dealt with it, and probably the way I deal with things now, is once it's published and it's out there, I forget it and I move on to the next one. And I just try to improve.
Yeah, good stuff, guys.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sorry, I totally lost internet connection for a second while you were talking. But I definitely agree with, like, it sounds like you guys are talking about kind of figuring out the way you want to run the videos as far as like scripting, how you want to set it up. In the beginning, yeah, it definitely was rough for me as well. I think that's kind of an across the board thing. I would say, like, if you just want to try it both ways, honestly, like do a video one week where maybe the whole thing is scripted out. Try another one next time where maybe you have a couple bullet points or maybe a little bit less of the script and just see what works for you. At the same time, know that it will get easier every single time you do it. So if it feels really rough to go from like a full script to having a minimal script, just know that every time you do that, it is going to get a little bit better. And also with the setup too, like depending on like how you want to like have your actual setup, how you want to compose yourself on video. I think that if you try it a little bit different every time, like just experiment and see what works best for you. All right. Can you guys still hear me okay? I keep getting the notification that my internet is unstable. So am I cutting out or anything?
You're
Still
okay
good?
right
Okay.
now.
Okay, cool.
We can hear
Let
you.
me answer Brian's question in the chat about descriptions. And then if you guys want, I put together a few things like very quickly, just as far as shorts go. Just wanted to share what I'm working on with that. And then thumbnails. I know we're at 30 minutes right now. If you guys need to dip out at any point, feel free. And if you have any questions, just stop me along the way. Let me share my screen and just kind of show you guys description wise what I'm doing. Let me log on here. SOPs. Yeah.
SOPs.
Yeah. So do you mean that like for descriptions or just for content in general? Like what kind of SOPs?
I think this is something that I think everyone on this course and like just not course, but everybody here would benefit from just a general baseline of X, Y, and Z question that you ask yourself. Then you go towards, hey, is this a good idea? Hey, if this is the things that I think about. It's different for your niche, obviously, but this is and then afterwards, I select the key term, I decide that's the right thing. Then after that, I put together a rough idea of what I want to do. Then I go and film it. Then I have my guy work on his thumbnail. I think it would benefit people in here. And then lastly is that description part, which is very important, like that call to action and having a call to action in the video, most likely. And these are the things that I think would help this group, not only me, but also them, everybody.
Yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, as far as SOPs go, that's all, for me personally, that's always a work in progress. Absolutely, as far as YouTube and SEO stuff goes. And I feel like to your point, Brian, especially when you have more people working with you, like editors, designers for thumbnails and graphics or whatever, like it does become more important to have that. Yeah, the way I feel like for me, like I don't necessarily have like specific SOPs, which maybe like I'm obviously like could be an area of improvement for me. What I like to do personally, and I was kind of talking about someone in this group with this a few weeks ago, is like once you've kind of gained a little bit of direction as far as the content you're doing, like the ideas, the videos you're doing, is kind of coming up with like buckets of content or like video archetypes almost. Like these are the types of videos that I'll do. So for example, for like let's say the real estate channel, they tend to be like, I would say one of three kinds of videos, like one being a talking head video like in the studio where the only stuff that goes into that is obviously the script. There's me. There is oftentimes B-roll, maps, graphics that go into that. So I send the script, the video, the graphics and assets to my editor. Sometimes it'll be a like screen share video. So the only stuff for that is, my talking head timed up appropriately with the screen recording on my computer. And there's not really any B-roll, no drone footage, no graphics that go into that for the most part. And then like the third type I really do is like a out in the world kind of listing video or new construction tour. Like those are kind of three like buckets of videos where there's going to be similar types of editing, similar types of graphics or things that need to go into those videos. Which maybe isn't something you need to think about like right off the bat when you're starting your channel, when you're still trying to figure out like what types of videos and types of content you need to do. But definitely kind of have that in the back of your mind as far as, especially when you get to the point of hiring an editor or just outsourcing some of it, like what are, you're not going to be repeating the same edits for every single video more than likely because they're all going to be a little bit different, but like what are the rough frameworks for like, okay, this video gets music or animations, or this type of video needs a lot more like maps or drone footage, or like screen share graphics kind of stuff. So yeah, really good point, Bryan.
And what you're describing is literally an SOP by workflow, right? Of type of video. So that type of video that you just described has a specific workflow that you provide. That's the same way that you basically have each one. That's exactly what we're describing. And the other cool thing about this is, since I do this like for my own videos and my customers' videos, we also aggregate like different sizes associated with that same video to make it a little bit easier. So we're saying, hey, this workflow is really this YouTube video, these 3 shorts from it, because it should be the same. And then with the idea of the call to action, all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me share 2 things on my screen really quickly. Which one is it? Oh man, there's more windows open than I realized. It's also being a little bit slow right now. Trying to get to Asana. And the hotel Wi-Fi is not helping me out. Okay. Speaking of SOPs, I'll be the first to say, like, this could absolutely be a little bit more dialed in, but how I do things, I have everything on Asana. The specific channel the video is for is over here. And basically, so this is like one that we just did. I will basically upload like the outline / script in here so that my editor has that. And then I will insert in here like, so these are examples. I wanted her to show pictures of these 2 buildings. So I'll come in here, put the links in there. I wanted her to show some screenshots. Yeah, for this one, it's mostly just the video outline with a few links. I'm trying to find a good example because sometimes I will be more direct with actual editing. Yeah, like this one, like I will give her like editing instructions. And honestly, like most of this is just kind of like off the dome. Like I filmed the video, I know what edits I want in there. So I will just kind of include the outline, and like since the outline is in like chronological order, I will put in the tasks like throughout the video, so like she knows like, okay, when I'm talking about content type 2 editing task, I wanted to show an example of this. And then more editing tasks I'll put in if I want screenshots of hrefs. And I wanted her to screen record 2 websites. So just kind of, since we're talking about SOPs, this is how I personally have it set it up. And I really only have one editor for YouTube videos. She's full-time. I don't have a bunch of freelance editors on a roster. I know some people like to do that. But this is what I do just because I like having one person so that she knows my style. Like this is her full-time job. She's got it down. But yeah, lots of ways to do it. And I definitely think that the SOP side of things will be a really important part of this group going forward. It's something that I'm always looking to improve. And especially, trying to match like I feel like my SOPs are more dialed in for the SEO stuff because there's way more moving parts for that, in my opinion, than YouTube. But yeah, definitely a good discussion. And then descriptions.
Can I share my screen after you're done?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go for it. Let me do that. Do it right now because I was going to share the description, but while we're talking about SOPs, please go for it. You should be able to share your screen.
There we go. So this is how I manage with the team. And let me just move this stuff out of the way. So I set it up so it's based off of the client's activity. I use Airtable, but ideally I wanted them to go through and make adjustments on frame, which is how I do my editing and responses back from us. And after we make edits, which, they can watch the video, make the edits right here on the bottom,
Yeah.
After that, they can send this and change the status, or just say, hey, I hate this or whatever, make it a little bit easier. Then the status changes, it notifies my editor and my team, because remember, we're doing like 40 or 50 videos. And the idea behind this is the customer's view, and these are all the related assets, right? So each one of these have their own related assets, whether it's a vertical video, or maybe it's a thumbnail that was associated with it, but they have to approve everything before it goes live. And the idea behind this is I also want to have that script or whatever outline I gave to the videographer here, and anything that I have with the customer, title and description, I make them fill this out for us, and then we kind of rework it for them. And then I have them, if they're asking us to bring over assets, I make them upload assets that's related to it.
Okay.
So in my case, and this is the same idea of what I was thinking, that whether it's you or your team, you need to have these dysfunctional lines of communication, what version you worked on and where it is in the process. Because essentially after we've selected this scheduled date, it automatically uploads it to YouTube now. And then from YouTube, we can share it and all that, and from
Yeah.
Facebook. So I tried to make it a little bit easier, and then I gave everybody views on, what it looks like and what's going through. So, and then what I was talking about, that project type, I was breaking these up into different use cases, not only for video, but also for SEO. And then I'm assigning my editors based on it. And I don't know if that's a good idea, but it seemed like a smart idea when I was thinking about it. And I'm just trying to get some thought process of, do you think that's a better idea? But
Are you
I don't
having
know.
like
I'm still
just
trying to
purely out
figure it
of
out.
curiosity, are you having like, so would it be like for what, for like whatever the video is, like one person who does like all the other like repurposings, or would it be like you have one person who's doing like the SEO for all videos, one person doing like the Facebook for all videos, and then the TikTok? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how are you breaking up like the distribution of that?
I'm breaking it up by brand, right? Because
Okay.
each customer, and we also, my team, they share, we upload our project files into the folder that you saw. So like anybody can take that folder and start working off of it. But the idea is I want to keep the same editor on the same, brand, obviously. And they are
Yeah.
making not only the YouTube video, but they're also making the short, and they're making, for Facebook or for, whatever platform. And some of the platforms, as you saw in there, they're for Instagram Reel, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube Short, and then I know I could send that out to all three of those because it has the same format. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And that one to just make it just a little bit less time consuming, because you and I both know uploading and loading and who's responsible for it and who did it, why didn't they do it, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. It's annoying.
Yeah. I get that.
But
Yeah, to be honest, I would like to get more into like the repurposing as far as like from YouTube to like shorts or reels or TikToks or whatever. I've dabbled a little bit with like turning videos into more so like short form videos. And I found, because at first I had like one editor do just YouTube videos, and I would have her send them to my second editor to do the TikToks and the reels. And I found that for me, it seems like it's better to have whoever's editing the video to begin with do the repurposing, because they already have the context for that video. Whereas like when Len, she's my editor that does YouTube videos, if I had her send the videos to RJ, it's kind of like RJ starting over from scratch. Like, he doesn't know what these videos are about. He's got to like familiarize himself in order to make TikToks from them. Whereas if I just have Len go from YouTube video A to then TikToks and reels of video A, it speeds up that process because she already knows what the whole video is about, and just have RJ do different things, whatever he's working on. Like that was one thing that I found, because and that's why I asked that question, because I was curious how you have that set up, because I feel like that makes sense to have it all like one person per brand, so that way they already like know the flow and they know the content for that brand you have.
Yeah, and also that brand has its own SOPs, right?
Okay. I didn't realize, if they're gonna be different across brands. That makes sense.
Right, because ultimately, I mean, if a guy's working on it, and the SOP that they have that's associated with it is slightly different. I don't know. Am I sharing my screen? I don't even know if I am.
I'm not seeing it right now. If
I don't
you
think I
should be
am.
able to if you want to go for it.
Crap. I screwed it up, guys. I suck at life. Lifing. Can you see my
All
screen
right.
now?
Yep, you're good.
So we're not only for the editor for what they do, but also how they organize the files when it's back. Because what I've also found is as you're reworking stuff, you're gonna need some additional information. And then vertical video. And then we also make customer facing vertical video guidelines by customer. So that way they understand who's doing what and what it's supposed to look like and why we're doing it that way. So this is what the editor gets, right? So they get that and they get the brand guide and the SOP with the idea of when we have this video come in, you're making this asset, this, and this, right? And that's where it's got to be organized. And I think the only thing I'm missing on a few of my flows is going to be, I have a idea of how the description should be because, I've been playing around with it for so long, but like a lot of image Fort Lauderdale. So a lot of my keywords and things that like we're creating, we're trying to, rank this in a couple different places. And it's not even showing up because I suck. But I think the description is really powerful and how we use it. It's just a matter of identifying the right way to use these things. Here's one. So, and this is like a dumb SEO YouTube video. But I do it where I break up the content and then I put in the music and then also their Google location to make it more localized.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever thought about that or done that based on these.
Yeah, I do something similar. If you want, I can share my screen to show my process for the description. Yeah.
Please.
And full disclosure, like I don't know that this is the right way to do it or not. Also because, and I can show you guys because
No one does.
I'll use the real estate channel as an example because that's the one that like, absolutely crushes it with leads. Like I really don't know, how many people even look at the description or, where like it, because I get leads from people reaching out through our email and phone number. I have it show up in the video. I have it in the description, the channel bio. I don't know like how often people go to the description versus just, the like writing down the number on the screen. But here is what pretty much every description looks like. So right up here, like this is the call to action. Like every single time, this is the money. I want people to reach out. If they read anything in the description, that's what I want. I do have a subscribe button. That's I've seen other people do that, and that's kind of where I got the idea to do that from. Just it's a shortened URL where like there's a way if you like take your channel URL and you add like something like _ subscribe exclamation, like it automatically subscribes someone. So that's like
one.
Yeah. I'd have to look up like what the string is,
It's
but
like
that's a little hack.
confirmation one,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
that.
you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have that in there just as a little sneaky thing. I do have our website in there because our YouTube content oftentimes does correlate to our SEO content. They're not the same, but like if someone finds our videos helpful, they will find our website helpful too. Keyword stuffing is pretty much this right here. I know you mentioned that in the chat, Bryan. That's just kind of like my way of doing that. Sometimes I have a couple paragraphs of just like a summary. Sometimes it's like a couple sentences. But this is where I'll try to throw in keywords related to the town, the city, whatever it is. For every single, and this has been a thing I've been doing for years, for every single video, I will include timestamps for the topics in that video because depending on what the video is and how you do it, you can have like a little blip rank in Google if it's a question or if it's something searchable that will show up in Google. You don't always have the actual video itself that ranks. Sometimes if you have this, like if some, like, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but when this video goes live, if someone like is searching for buying a condo in downtown St. Louis, there's a chance that like this, whatever minute or 2 minute segment of the video could rank for that because it's a specific topic in the video. So that is something I've always done that I recommend. I've had affiliate links in here for a while. I don't really get much from that, so I don't know that that really does anything for me. And then kind of like, if we think of this as far as like prioritizing, like number one, call to action, subscribe, visit the website, and then timestamps. And then like at the bottom, I have like follow on Instagram. So that's kind of how my descriptions are set up.
Yeah.
And then everything else in here is just kind of like the settings I'll do, because basically like as you guys know, like SEO is just like a set of best practices. So like I just, like the chapters and having that in here is literally just a best practice. Like I don't know how much it actually helps the algorithm. I know that it does sometimes rank on Google for one of these little sections. I know I've heard a lot of people in the YouTube space talk about how these tags don't really matter. Whether that's true or not, I will at least still put them in there for every single video. If the video is tied to a location, I will have the location in here. All this stuff down here probably does not make a big difference, but I would rather have it than not have it, just because I'd rather follow all those best practices to, set myself up best to perform well. But yeah, does that make sense? Any follow-up questions or ideas? Yeah.
Yeah. You're not manually making that time code. That's generated from that software that you're using. And what level of software are you using on that?
I actually have my editor.
TrueBuddy.
I actually this is manual from one of my VAs just does this. I'll send him. It's not the one that edits the videos. It's just because it's very tedious for her. I'd rather her start a new video. I just have my second VA watch the video and do this so that way it's accurate. I could totally be like missing an opportunity to use software for that, because like I know Loom, for example, does a really good job. When I make a Loom video, it does that automatically. And I feel like at one point I looked into seeing if I could upload. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if it'll show for this video because it's not live yet, but you sound really good with that. Here, so this one, I think this one it does show up so that if someone's watching the video, if you see this down here, like here's the overview, because that's the first section. And like these little chapters, like if you see the label up there, it does do that. So I think that does help for ranking, but also just like, going back to user experience, I like that when I watch videos that have that. So I try to do that on mine for every single video. It is a very tedious thing to do. So I don't do it myself. My VA does it. There definitely is software you can use for that, but that is like one little hack that I do on pretty much every single video. If it's more than a couple minutes long, which most of my videos are, I will try to break it up. I even did that. Like if you guys watch these accountability sessions, I had my VA watch like an hour and a half of these sessions to be able to put those in here so that it's broken up by so that it's broken up by oh my god, I'm struggling right now.
Donate to Kamala.
By topic.
Oh, can you send that so I could watch the old videos?
yeah, they should. I think you're on the email list, so I have sent them out.
It might just be my negligence. So it might just be my negligence, and I need to.
If you weren't on the email list after the first or second calls, I can resend these. But I'll probably just post them in the GSA group. But yeah, just stuff like this, even if it's like an hour and a half long video, like I basically will have my VA go through and I tell them just like every, like, let's say 2 to 5-ish minutes, tell me what the topic of the conversation is and like put it in here. So this is for the second accountability, and I'll do it for this one too when this is done. Like I just put these in here so that way, like obviously like it's going to be a pain in the butt for you guys to have to like go through and sift through an hour-long video. So I would like to have these in here just to make it more helpful. So that is one little trick that I've always done that I recommend for YouTube. And again, it is absolutely tedious. It's not fun. especially if you're doing it yourself. But for user experience, that's kind of how I think about it. Like we talk about user experience on like the aspects of your landing pages and whatnot, but for the actual video, I think this is another form of just user experience to help someone navigate through your videos.
And to hear you correctly, your video, your video editor really has the TrueBuddy account, and they're doing all the, they're adding all the, things for you that are mainly tedious, I would say, adding a few other things that are components to it.
I'm very like rigid about when videos go uploaded to YouTube and like all of these settings get done. I'm the one who does that because I just don't want my VAs to do that. I would like to have full control over that. That's definitely not the most efficient way to do it, but just because I have 3 channels, like it's not that big of a deal for me. I do all the thumbnails myself. That's one thing I've had my VAs help out with them sometimes, or I'll have them create like split test versions, but that's one thing that I think is a very critical component of every video. Do not overthink the thumbnail. So I try to have a lot of control over that myself. The settings and stuff, like I have my VA go through and do this, and I'll just like check for spelling and make sure that like it sounds good and that it's like SEO optimized basically, because sometimes they're not when he just goes through there. But yeah, I'm not doing these myself. And I do have upload defaults. So one thing I recommend to you guys, just for stuff like this, like I think half of these are always just default in there. You can have a lot of these settings as default too. If you go into your upload defaults, this is where you can have like my description is kind of like a template in there. So all this is the same, and I will paste in there and I will paste in the description. Outside of that, this all stays the same. And then like 390 characters of the tags are already in, they're all already in there. And then I'll maybe add some more for the video. But yeah, that is, yeah. And then the other stuff like comments on, and then making sure your videos are not marked for whatever it is, like kids only or whatever, is like a thing that will carry across all your videos. So just stuff like that, it does make it easier. But this is kind of like, I just have like a description template in there. And that way I just have to copy and paste into here and into here. And that's all I do for descriptions. So I do handle all the upload and posting myself just because I don't want anyone else to do that for me, especially with the thumbnail too. But it's not really that much work because I just have to copy and paste. And I do have my VA do the breakdown. So that's kind of how I personally do that.
I put the code snippet. So, I mean, you don't have to click on that, but you basically start at the question mark. I put it in the chat. You basically take your YouTube channel and just add the question mark sub underscore confirmation equals 1. And whenever they click on it, and you can put that in a button. And whenever they click on it, it automatically subscribes when they go to view the channel.
Yep. Thank you for that, Ray.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, for any of you guys that have a channel, like literally like the thing that Ray sent, just like after the shorts, like take the question mark and all the way to the 1, like copy that and just add that to the end of your channel URL. And you can put that into URL shortener, which is what I do. You can put it on a button on your website. But it basically like, I'll show you thanks for coming, Graeme. Thanks for showing up. Let me share my screen just to show you what that looks like. When someone clicks it, hang on. It will like ask you if you want to subscribe to this channel. Yeah. So like this, you just do that. So for anyone that clicks that, and I wish I had data on like how many subscribers I get from doing that, but I don't, unless you look at like I shorten it with the URL, and I could probably go to like bit.ly or whatever I use to find that. It's not a thing I care about a ton, but I'm just like kind of curious. Like I wish I could see more like what videos get the most clicks for that, or like how many subscribers I've gotten from having that. I don't think there's a way to find that number, but it's just little tricks like that where like if you do all of these things, like having the the chapter breakdowns, having those subscribe buttons, like I feel like all of that kind of adds up. But that's just kind of, speaking of best practices for, channel performance, it's just kind of all these little things that I try to do to kind of get the most juice out of my videos and out of the description. All right. So we've been at an hour so far today. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about? Any questions? I had a few slides about shorts and thumbnails. I will probably just do those next week because I have those as like a backup in case I didn't know how the conversation was going to go today. So I can just move that to next week because like I feel like everything else we talked about as far as SOPs and descriptions, I feel like that's more valuable than the other stuff I had planned. That was just kind of filler content. All right, thanks, Dale. Yeah, Red.
I gotta head out too.
Okay.
This was awesome. I'll definitely be in next week, and then if you post that the actual YouTube, so I can check out the old videos.
Yeah, I'll send you an email with this stuff
and the slides from
today. And I'm trying to keep these consistent on Thursdays. So I missed last week because I didn't have time to put anything together. But anytime we do this, I'm going to try to keep it at Thursdays, noon Central, 1 Eastern, wherever you guys are timing wise. And I'll send out the recordings for these and the YouTube links. So we can wrap here for today, guys. If you have any questions or like ideas you want to talk about next time, just send me an email and I'll send out the recordings for this later on today.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Good to see you guys.
All right.
Thomas, Bryan, thanks for coming on. Bye, everyone.
Hey, Jacob, I hope I didn't get too crazy.
No, I loved what you had to say. Like, honestly, like I'm glad you were able to make it this one because that was awesome. Loved it.
Awesome. Well, you have a great day. Thank you again for doing this.
You too. Yeah, of course. I'll see you around.
All right. Bye.